Hi, Dixon here. So if you're living in Canada and you're about to go out to do your tax returns at an H&R Block, for example, well, you're in luck today because instead of spending money, I'm going to show you how easy it is to do it yourself for free using free, legitimate software. And that coming from advice from a Canadian chartered accountant myself, and I'll walk you through a few steps how to save money on your tax return, but also how to be really in control with your situation with the CRA and optimize the amount of taxes for yourself and your spouse, okay, or your children. So with that, let's get right into the software, and I'll give you a step-by-step. It's very easy to do. Okay? I've done it myself many times, and I'm not a tax accountant. I'm more of a strategic accountant. Okay, so let's get right to it. And so the software I want to show everybody is a free software. As a past tax accountant for high net worth individuals, this really just does the trick without having the need for anything more fancy, and gets you pretty much 99% of the time exactly the return that I would expect. So let's just jump right into it. First, you'll be greeted with a screen for a login. If you don't have an account, you can just click on the sign up now button over here and provide the necessary information. So assuming you've already done that, we'll go in and I set up a dummy return. Each account you can do about 20 tax returns. So if you have more like myself, you can set up multiple accounts and be able to do tax returns for many people. Okay. So I'm gonna select dummy test here. So first off, you'll get greeted with a welcome screen, and then it'll ask for basic information. So let's just go ahead and I'll just show you how easy it is for your standard return. If you're just employed and getting a T4 slip, some interest, a few other tax slips, and some RRSP planning, your tax return could be done in really just 10 minutes for free, okay? And filed electronically via NetFile. And then you'll have your record as a PDF that you can then save and carry forward for the following year to make your life easier. Okay, so I'll show you exactly how easy it can be. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out some dummy information here. Dummy, his last name is Momo. And put in an email address, which just means that the CRA can use that to contact yourself. Put in your social insurance number, date of birth, so very standard stuff. You'd set up your preferred language. Let's just do a dummy birthday here. Let's say Mr. Dummy Momo was born in 2010. Let's make him at least 18. Okay, 2008, and he's born on the 30th of August. Okay, and there's a little double check you can see. A lot of folks get the month and days reversed depending what you're used to. I'll set up some basic. It's not for a diseased person. If you can, I suggest putting in the NetFile access code. So that's this next section here. And by doing so, if you ever need to call the CRA to verify any information, you can actually reference this tax return for being able to prove your identity. Not anything mandatory. It's just good to have in case you need to confirm or change anything on your tax return after the event. So just below that, you'll see a screen on your mailing address. So you'd put your street number, unit number, full address, and a home telephone number without a star here. You can see that's optional. You don't want a lot of phone calls or just want to limit the interaction. I suggest not putting an email or a phone number and get all your communication formally by mail. That's simple stuff. Some more questions about your residence. I'll leave this to yourself. Very basic. Which province did we live in for the year 2020, 2021? It was Ontario. Did it change? No. Is your home address same as your mailing address? Yes. And basically you're done with this section. No, I didn't just become a resident of Canada. And so all very straightforward questions. Nothing really on just building up your current profile at this time. Okay, so this part is quite critical. You'll want to accurately represent your marital status, whether you're married, live in common law with someone, you're widowed, divorced, separate, or single. Make sure you understand what each of these mean. specifically, because they could have large impacts and implications to your tax return. And did it change in 2021? This other question is also quite critical. Do you have any dependents where then you can then leverage a lot of tax credits from your dependents? If so, depending on their net income and taxable income figures themselves. So once you're done with that section, it'll create other views for you, but you make sure you answer these questions accurately, and then it'll prompt you correctly what you need to consider later on. Maximize the benefit of your tax return and minimize the taxes you have to pay. Some more miscellaneous items here. So these are all very standard. If you've done a tax return, you should know them. Do you own any foreign property? Did you just sell your house? That's your current principal residence. So you'll want to declare that here because you can actually be tax exempt on any capital gains there. Are you a Canadian citizen? Are you an Indian under the Indian Act? Were you in prison? And so all of these would have some impacts to yourself. So now here's an interesting one. You're always going to see these incentives or these benefits. Okay, I advise you to click yes on all of them, and that way you'll leave it to the CRA to determine if you're eligible for them. Clicking no just means they won't even assess you whether you're eligible for it. But if you click yes for it, then at least there's a chance you may get it. So and you don't have to read through all the criteria. It's just automatically done by the CRA. So when in doubt, just click yes, and at the end of it, you'll be able to be assessed automatically by the CRA whether you qualify for any of these benefits or incentives, usually in the form of reduction in taxes or cash on a monthly or quarterly basis. So not much here, just more basic stuff. Are you online and logged in to your CRA My account? If you are, you can actually autofill your tax return here. And if you're like myself playing a little bit with securities trading, you can actually import your gains and losses, and it'll calculate ultimately your ACB and any sort of realized gains and losses that would impact your capital gains taxation. And so very nifty features here. Then after that, you're ready to input your tax slips. Okay, so if you just need to input a T4, let's do one for this dummy account here. Let's see. Okay, let's say he works for Rogers. And then you fill in as per the tax slip. Let's say he's earning money in Ontario. You don't need to necessarily know what these boxes mean. You just input them. It's just data entry as per your tax slip. Ideally, you're already linked into your My CRA account, so you can just autofill your return. If you're not there yet, or it's a very simple tax return, you can just input the key numbers here. Make sure after you input them, you double check them, because otherwise any mistake made here that the CRA catches, you essentially get flagged, and you'll get audited again and again by the CRA, because they'll assess you as a high-risk individual or making mistakes, whether intentionally or not. So definitely always make sure you double check your inputs. You don't want to stare here, which would mean a lifetime of audits and scrutiny by the CRA. Okay, so once you're done your tax return, you're going to click on Review and Optimize. It'll ask you some things, so just follow the prompts. Overall, it's a very, very straightforward, intuitive system, and it's all done online. After you're done going through all the warnings and the errors and any suggestions, so this is where I mentioned earlier, you'll want to apply for all these tax credits or incentives to make sure you're not missing out on anything spectacular. So after you're done with the warnings, suggestions, and errors, you'll go into your summary. It'll tell you exactly what's in store for you. Okay, so we didn't really input much for Dummy Momo here. He's making no income, so he's not using his personal deduction amounts and any of the non-refundable credits. So he didn't pay any taxes. So ultimately, he's going to get no tax refund. Hopefully, you'll get a tax refund. Actually, I should probably clear this up. Everyone always assumes that if they don't get a tax refund, then something bad happened. And usually that's not quite the case. I mean, every month your employer is already deducting income taxes from your payroll. Whether they deduct enough or not enough depends on your circumstances. If you have multiple jobs, usually you'll end up having to top up your taxes, because the withholding taxes, i.e. what they take from you every month, is not enough to cover the higher tax bracket. Because if you're earning income from multiple sources, it's hard for them to really know and assess how much they should deduct. You get a refund, it just means you've overpaid on your taxes, so you get to get some back from the government. And if you owe them money, it just means that you didn't pay enough taxes. So definitely don't look at the refund as anything. What you want to review is, what was your total income, net income, does that match? How's my taxable income? Did I include all my deductions? Things like that, and go from there. Okay, so today's session is not really about how to maximize your tax return, so I'm not going to go much in detail on that, but just to show you that there is available, intuitive, and free software out there to help you do your tax returns, your friends and family, and get it done in short order. After you've reviewed your summary, you reviewed the quarterly benefits, you'll get all looks good. You're ready to submit. So when you click on submit, there's no submit button here because it's not done. But when you do click on submit, you'll see an option to print out your tax return, and you can mail it, or you can just click on submit electronically, and it'll file it for you via the web. So there's nothing else you need to do. As always, make sure you retain all your records and documents for audit purposes later on. The CRA can and sometimes will come after you even 6-7 years down the line. I believe that's the retention period. After 7 years, you're free to start destroying things. At least take a scan of the documents you have. Okay, so hopefully you guys learned how to save money by doing your own tax returns, and also learned that it's not as hard as people think. Okay, and with that, hopefully my friends and family see this, and I can save some time not doing their tax returns too. So with that, have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.